A continuous wave of miraculous events has been reported by news media, but the media has reported these may have a common cause: Maitreya and the Masters. Maitreya and the Masters have created thousands of these phenomena. For example, visions of the Madonna, which appear every evening and give secrets to the children at Medjugorje in Yugoslavia. Statues all over the world which weep real tears or tears of blood. Statues in Ireland made of solid rock which somehow opened their eyes and then closed them. There is a 35-foot rainbow-colored likeness of the Madonna, which appeared almost overnight on the windows of a bank in Clearwater, Florida. People come every day to see this striking image, which was once vandalized, but then somehow seemed to restore itself to its original pristine color. There is an icon of Jesus in a church in Sydney, Australia, a large crucifix which exudes pure olive oil. The evidence of Maitreya's presence is being shown in these extraordinary miracles. Among the most stunning, 40-foot-high crosses of light which appear like holograms on the front lawn of a Christian Baptist church in Tennessee. Then there are holy messages. In England, a young Muslim woman cut into a piece of fruit and found the seeds arranged to spell out, "Allah is great, Mohammed is his prophet." Another indicator of Maitreya's presence, healing waters which are beginning to appear around the world, as in Tlacote, Mexico. Some of the most miraculous cures, from cancer and AIDS all the way down to warts and boils, have been reported as a result of people visiting these rejuvenating wells. In addition to the one in Mexico, there's a well in Nordenau, Germany, another in India, north of New Delhi. Eventually, 777 of these wells, created by Maitreya, are to be found on every continent around the world. It has been predicted that there will be no end to this perfectly pure healing water, which is said to have been magnetized by Maitreya with cosmic energy. One of the greatest miracles to be seen on a global scale was the milk miracle in September 1995 in Hindu communities all over the world. The miracle was that ritual offerings to the gods, usually only ceremonial, became real. Surprisingly, Hindu statues appeared to lap up the milk offerings, and literally thousands of gallons disappeared in only 4 days. All these miracles, created by Maitreya, are occurring within every major religion. There's a Lebanese Muslim child who weeps razor-sharp crystals, but without cutting herself. For well over a decade, Maitreya himself has appeared to individuals and groups around the world. One of these appearances was actually documented by a newspaper reporter, with photographs taken of Maitreya, although none of the media, including CNN and others who picked up the story, knew at the time that this was Maitreya.
Frances Robinson, sitting next to me, is a Southern California video producer who's been living in France for the past 2 years. You produced a clip I watched on television, and what got me was the effect that it had on the neighborhood and the people, and I thought, hey, I ought to know about this. Talk about the clip and what happened.
I had listened to Benjamin Creme say that the world teacher was back in the world, that his name, he was known as Maitreya, and that he would be producing signs of his appearance to all different religions. And within the Christian community, he would be producing crosses of light. So I said, sounds nice, and just stored it away. When there were reports on television of crosses of light appearing.
That's it. Now, the thing here is, it was on television before you got involved or produced what you produced.
Yes.
That's my point. Go ahead.
Yes. So I said, well, having had that sort of advance warning, I said this could be a lot more significant than 30 seconds on TV. And I went into the community, and over a period of actually a couple of years, but several weeks, got to know the people in the community. And what amazed me, from the point of view of someone being a documentary maker and looking for all points of the issue, was that even though all these people, the crosses kept multiplying, more and more kept appearing, and the people were not in communication with each other.
That's right. They didn't know each other, and they weren't necessarily in the immediate community.
They were saying things about the appearance of the crosses, which I had actually read previously, that Mr. Creme was saying that the world teacher, the Christ, the new Buddha.
So in all manifestations, too, Buddha, however we see
yes,
the Supreme Being, right? Or is it the Supreme Being, or is it Christ?
Well, Christians would it is the Christ, yes. Okay. Christians would say it is the Christ.
Okay. So some people think he's like the Messiah coming back,
yeah,
or
many people do,
or whatever the religion tells them, and so that's
well,
why
anyway, I just find it fascinating, so I do my best to let people know about.
Where did you find out? Where did you find out about him?
Oh, actually, the first time I heard it was probably more than 12 years ago, and I just overheard some people at a table. I'm a documentary maker. I am very nosy, and I ask lots of questions, and I just perked up my ear and said. I heard a lady saying, I heard Benjamin Cram speaking, and he said he was going to be overshadowed by the Christ. And I thought that was pretty preposterous, and so I listened up. And she said, but the interesting thing was that something started happening, and his face started looking like Christ. And she said, and then it changed and looked like Buddha. Then I got really interested. Since I was very young, I've always thought that the religions should all be one anyway. And
right.
If there was somebody walking around that the Buddhists figured was Buddha and the Christians thought was Christ, and I thought that
it's very
somehow that makes sense to me. So
right.
that would suit me. People of different religions say all kinds of things about him and say he's responsible for a lot of these miracles. So
one of the biggest miracles that you've been working on, and this is about a man who claims to be cured of AIDS.
Mr. Bill Tritt has had AIDS and was on the point of dying from AIDS. They expected him to die within 3 days. And he had a magnificent vision, after which he woke up. When he'd gone into this vision, he was in the hospital and was blind in one eye and everything. When he came out of the vision, he could see. He felt that he was healed. Asked for tests. He was tested, and he indeed no longer had the AIDS virus in his system at that point.
Amazing.
When you're sick with AIDS, you're so sick and you have nowhere to turn, you have to turn inward, and you have to pull down to your soul, and you have to find a reason for living, and you have to excel with that, and you have to detach yourself from your body. What I mean by detachment is to take your mind and put it in sort of a dream-type state, and I started doing relaxation, meditation.
Oh, yeah, that's when you had the visionary experience.
Right, and I had a tremendous experience where I was sort of very close to nature and in a lot of trees, a lot of bushes, and I mean I could practically smell the aromas of the plants and things next to me. I felt totally energized, and I felt like 10, 15 years younger, and I knew at that particular moment that I was free of the AIDS virus. You don't have to die from the disease, and that's one thing that I'd like to stress, is to get death out of your mind.
And what's interesting to me is that all these different miracles that I've been documenting, there's a thread of each of them that seems to lead back to this same person.
So do you think that this person has something to do with all these miracles?
I do by now.
So he's a real man.
He's a real man. I have not seen him. I have talked to many people who have seen him. He's appeared out of thin air, usually to a large group of people, and talked to them about a coming golden age in which there won't be hunger or poverty. I know all the major television networks know about him, and that
Why
he
do
was
you
interviewed on CNN.
Oh, he was interviewed on CNN?
It's sort of a hot potato. It's sort of a hot potato. I mean, in his talks, there are journalists that have taken notes at speeches that he's given in London, particularly, which is his headquarters, and they say that he says he can't infringe human free will. That's how he explains it. He says that he'll come forth and speak to humanity if the radio and television stations of the world, the media of the world, invites him.
Now, who does
and they're waiting for him to come forward first.
Oh, I see. Who does he claim to be?
He just says he's the teacher. He doesn't claim anything.
Okay.
But with all of the people that I've talked to and all experiences that I've had, I'm convinced that something's definitely happening, and that we may very well see this face throughout the world very soon, all of us.